Okay, let's go a little bit deeper into creating a database to support our shopping cart. So I've decided to go with this simple database format. Um, I'm hoping that this is familiar to you. You've seen things like this. The notion is we have a whole bunch of products and we have a shopping cart. The idea here, I don't know if you remember, but we had those UUIDs. So the ID of the cart will be the UUID we came up with. The product table we've already created, and connecting those two tables to kind of impose a many-to-many relationship between cart and product is this joining table cart line, which contains a link to product and a link to cart. Oh, that should be a primary key there. So the primary key is a composite primary key. It's these two components make up the primary key, product plus cart, and the number of that product. So this is the database we're going to implement. What's unusual is that we don't have a user table. So normally you'd have a user table here with things like the username, the first name, the second name, the idea being that one user can have several carts. But because of the way we're getting the data, we get the buyer cookie, we get the username, the first name, the second name, we get that every single time. And it is conceivable that at the customer's end, when they log in, the customer's first name could change between one instance and the next. Customer gets married, they've got a different second name, quite possibly. That's commonly happens in the UK. And for that reason, it doesn't really make sense for us to store details about users ourselves. It also, we don't really want to be storing a table of users because we'd then have to comply to all sorts of data protection requirements. So um, we don't want the users to have control. We don't manage these things. We don't change the user's first name if there's user's first name changes. It's our clients who log in that have got these details. So we're going to just believe them, whatever they say. If we get the same user twice and they've got a different first name the second time, we don't care about that. It's not our problem. Let's have a look at our file that creates the database so far. We've got products in there, and we've got a whole bunch of products being created here. What else do we need? We need to create a cart. So create, try and spell create right, create table cart. And the cart it's got an ID. And if you remember, that ID is, I think, 36 characters. It's not really a varchar, it's just char. So that's the primary key. So that's the UUID that we picked up. And we've got a whole bunch of details that we're getting in the XML. We should take everything from the XML. But I'm just taking a handful. Username. These names, by the way, the names of these columns, I'm copying them more or less from the XML format. So that's user. So I think that user is a unique name. This one here is first name and second name, and the all-important browser form post. And that's one of the elements that comes through in the first XML. Okay, we also need the cart line. So this is the joining table between cart and product, and that stores the product, which is an int, and it's the cart, which has got to match the primary key of the cart. So that's varchar 36, and the quantity, that's the number of items that the user has chosen. And of course we have a primary key on that as well, but this is a composite primary key. We use this format. The primary key is the product and the cart together. They make up the primary key. Good. So with a bit of luck, I'll be able to run that. So what was my line? What I do in Linux, I do Control R, and it was SQLite CotsDB, and I'm taking the input from make tables. Didn't like that. No such table product. Syntax error line 10. Let's have a look at line 10. Create table product, that all looks good. No, I can't see anything wrong with any of that. Maybe I'll try running the lines one at a time. Duplicate the session. Okay. So cd public and Flask. I want to be in the same folder. Make sure I've got the shop database. No, that was stupid. CotsDB is something that I use elsewhere. Okay, so what I want to do is SQLite 3 shop db. Okay, start by dropping the table. That worked fine. And now we'll try the create table statement. And that worked okay. Here's the create cart table. Well, no, didn't like that. So it's saying the syntax error. Nope, that's because I've got a comma there on that last line there. Get rid of that and try it again. That's better. And the final line. Didn't like that. Create cart line, product int. Can't see anything wrong with any of those things. Let me just try it again. Oh, it's create table. Okay. Good. And as is my habit, I'm going to put lines to remove those tables at the top. And they have to be dropped in the right order. You have to drop the table that does the referring before you do the, oh, I haven't put any of my foreign keys. You can see I've got foreign keys from cart to cart line and from product to cart, sorry, from cart line to product and cart line to cart. Yep. Let's put in some foreign keys. Okay, so I have a foreign key from cart line. Whoops. That's the primary key, and then comma at the end of that line, and foreign key, product, references, product ID, shocking type in. That's how you spell references, references. Put a comma at the end of that and copy that because we've also got the foreign key, that cart, references, cart ID. Okay, I'm going to put my drop lines in. So drop table cart line, that we have to drop first because that one refers to the other two. And then after you've dropped that, you're allowed to drop the cart and the product. Okay, so that should be something we can run. So I'll do SQLite 3 databases shop, and I'm getting my input from make table. Didn't like that. Line 20. Create table cart line. Maybe I didn't save this. Let me write it out just to be sure. Try again. Nope, still doesn't like it. No such table cart line. Still complaining about an error line 20. I'm going to pause the video. No, I can't see what the problem is, so I'm going to run my SQL one line at a time. So let's just run them. So I'll try these 3 lines first to drop the tables. and it says there's no such table cart line. So these two tables got created, okay, that's good. And now I want these ones, these lines. It doesn't like that at all. Syntax error near close brackets. Okay, I had a look at some documentation, and it's telling me something about this magic line pragma foreign keys on. This might be the cause of my problem because I can't see anything wrong with my syntax. So I'll try that and then try this again. Nope, I don't think it was that. Have I spelled references wrong? Let's see if I can create the table without the foreign keys. So without that comma, and just close brackets and semicolon. Yeah, like that. So it's that. Let's drop the table. Drop table cart line. And let's try and create the table with the primary key, but without the foreign keys. So that's the primary key. Yep, it's fine with that. It's definitely the foreign key that's causing a problem. And I'm looking for a problem with my syntax. It all looks good to me. I'm looking at an example. Foreign key and then open bracket. Something references something. Could have spelled references wrong. References. And do that again. Yeah. Try that. Let's try and drop the table. Drop table cart line. I really don't want to work without a foreign key. I can see it now. Stupid. It's that trailing comma. That was the problem. Hopefully nothing to do with pragmas. Phew. Okay, so if I write this out, then I should be able to run that in one go without errors. Excellent. So I've got my shopping cart set up according to this plan. Okay, let's start using it. So VI server. What I want to do when the punch out message comes, previously I created a cart ID here. Okay, so I picked up that cart ID, and this is me adding the cart ID to the carts thing that I created at the beginning. Now I don't want to do that anymore. What I want to do is to either update or no, I want to create a new cart. So this is the punch out setup request. So when the punch out setup request happens, that's when I create a new cart. So here I'm going to have some SQL to insert. Okay. So I'm going to need the same stuff I needed before. I'll need a connection and a cursor. I think maybe I can use the same connection. Let's pick up a new cursor and we'll execute some statements. That looks good. Okay, so this cart's, I'm going to delete that. I'm not going to use that anymore. So that's gone. And this is the this is the setup request. So this line is going to go. So these lines here, let me comment them out. So that's going, and that's going, and that's going, the return statement. And I have to replace what that thing did with an SQL statement. So let's have a cursor equals, I think it was called con.cursor. And the SQL statement I want is an insert statement. So I want to do cursor dot execute, and I'll come up with an SQL statement. Okay, double quotes. All right, so I want to insert into cart. What does my cart look like? Oh, his cart. So, lots of things. So I've got to put in the ID, the buyer cookie, the user, first name, and the second name. There'll be others as well. Values, and I put in question marks as placeholders. So that's the ID, the buyer cookie, the user, the first name, and the second name. And I'm just looking, so execute. So I've got to put in a tuple now with those values. Okay, so the ID is this cart ID that I made up. The browser post form, no, buyer cookie, I've already got that. The user, yep, got that. Whoops, put in a comma. The first name and the second name. I'm guessing the second name is going to be something like this. Second name and second name. Okay, so that should create. So when we do the setup, that should work. Did I put in the browser? I've missed something out. I've missed the browser form post. That's important. So browser post form, or is it form post? I'm looking at browser form post. And I need another question mark. Okay, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 placeholders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last one is the browser post form. No, browser form post. Browser form post. Good. Okay, so that should give it a good setup response, and we'll hit an error. Not at checkout. We'll hit an error when that user hits the shop. So this is the user hitting the shop, and at this point here, we're trying to pick up the cart, and that's going to cause an error because there's no such thing as carts. Let's watch that error happen. So I need to go back and click on this. The originator setup form. Okay. So this is an XML message, and this is a Python error message, and the setup originator is getting this error back. Let's see if we can figure out what it's saying. This is XML, which is hard to read. Extrinsic second name. Who'd have thought? So I've got no second name. That's annoying. Okay, let's take out the second name. For some reason, I'm not passing on a second name. Was it last name? I'm going to try last name. No, I'm going to check the documentation. Okay, let's take a look at this. We were trying to pick up this thing here, last name. Okay, so there is no second name, it's first name and last name. So that should be last name. I don't know what happened there. Undo. Undo. Okay, so this should be last name, and this should be last name, but annoyingly my database has got second name in it, and this should be not second name but last name. So that's last name, so I'll have to run this again. So that's SQLite 3 shopdb, get your input from make tables. Okay, now here I've got first name and last name, and this is not second name but last name. Try that. Let's go back and try again. And see if we can figure out what's going on wrong. What's going wrong here? So looking at the bottom, trying to spot the error message. It's not liking this. It's a problem near value. I've got a syntax error. Looks like an SQL syntax error. Insert into cart. Browser form post. It should be values. It's the word values, not value. Values. Okay. Write that out. Go back. Try again. Still not liking it. Attempting to write a read-only database. Attempting to write a read-only database. How come it's a read-only database? Okay, it occurs to me that what's happening is that the database is read-only. If I do ls-l, the user who's trying to change it is not me, and can you see shopdb has got read-write access for me, but this is actually being run not by me, but it's being run by the the web server process. So if I do change, I want to change permission. It's not change own, what is it? Change mod, chmod, geo plus right into shop. That gives the world permission to change the shop. Maybe that'll help. Still trying to write a read-only database. Perhaps I need to just make a trivial change here. Let's put in a blank line and try that again. Okay, unable to open the database file. Okay, time for the big guns. I'm going to try and I want to see this error message, and it's coming up in HTML, which is hard to read. I'm going to use a tool called Postman, which you use on occasions like this. At this point, what's happening is the originator, the CXML originator site, is sending this message to launch, and it's not working. And so I'm going to use Postman now. This is Postman. It's a really useful tool, and it kind of lets you do HTTP requests. All right, so this is, I'm going to call this the Punchout request. It's Punchout setup. Okay, and I'm going to save that. Let's have a new collection. And this is SET 09603. Okay. All right, so the address I want to go to is this one here. So that's the request. I don't remember what kind of request it is. Is it a put request? I'll just check the documentation. Look at the documentation here. To initiate, user selects a punch out item. Okay, that's not telling me. Let's try it as a get. The body that I'm going to send is this here. Copy that, and that is in the body. Yeah, I want to give it a body. It's not form data. I want it raw. Okay, so that's the data I'm trying to send. Okay, let's try it. And here's the request I got. Here's the response I got. Let's look at it in HTML. Preview. That hasn't helped me any. This is the address I want to visit. So let's copy that. So it's the cat address that I want to visit. Okay. It seems to be clear that the problem is that it's unable to open the database for some reason. Here we go. So this is the code. Yes, yes, yes. That's the execute. Unable to open database file. Okay, maybe that connection doesn't survive. Let's create that connection again. So this line here, yank that, and let's put that in here. So we'll create a new connection. Something else I've got to do, and that was a commit. So I've got to commit, and it's either the cursor or the connection that I commit on. Can't remember which one. Looking for the SQLite documentation. And the SQLite documentation says you execute many, and it's not the example I'm looking at hasn't got a commit in, so maybe I don't need to. Let me write that out and try and run this again. Still unable to. Because I've got the new version. So that's my connection. shopdb, get the cursor, right to it. Let's take a look at the file. The shopdb looks good. Have I messed it up somehow? Can I still connect to it? shopdb. Select start from cart. Yeah, nothing's in the cart yet. We've got no carts. Okay, well, let's look online, see if we can get some help on this error. So the error I'm getting is operational error. That's pretty. Operational error, unable to open database file. Okay, this is Python SQLite. This looks good. Yep. Okay, obvious reasons why. Nprox model is the program running on the same machine testing it? Yes. Is it running as you? No, it's not. Is the disk full? That's interesting. I'm sure the disk isn't full, but let's just check. DF. Nope, disk isn't full. Does it have odd permissions? SQLite needs to be able to create additional files in order to handle things like a commit log. Oh, that's interesting. So SQLite needs to be able to create, needs to have permission. Okay, now I don't want to give permission to everything. I don't want to give permission to my directory. So let's make a directory, especially for temporary files. And I will give write access, to the database. I'm going to move my shop database into DB, and that should still have write access. And now I've got to find all instances of shop.db, so find shop.db. So that is now db/shopdb, and this is db/shopdb. Okay, let's have a go at that. We'll run it from here again. Send. Oh, that's better. Goodness me. Okay, so just to summarize the problem there, it was that SQLite needs to be able to create files in the database. If I look in the database, there don't seem to be any files there. Nope, but presumably it created temporary files just for a moment. So I've given write permission to the DB directory, the DB folder. Let's shut down Postman and watch this working. Okay, that's much better. So this is the error message, carts is not defined, and that's the error I was expecting. So carts is not defined here, render carts equals that, and that's not it. Okay. All right, so that's good. For this to work, I think maybe I'm just going to take carts out for the moment. I'll put it back in later. So not checkout before checkout, I haven't got there yet. I've got to here, I'm looking for the shop. Shop SCID. Okay, so I'm not going to pass in this parameter here. This carts can remain empty for the moment. Okay. So now I should be able to reload. Yeah, I can reload. So I've got no means of updating the cart at the moment. But that basically worked. I was able to put carts in, the database is uploading. Phew, that seemed like a lot of work. I'm going to pause there. So we do git add db. Okay, did we create anything else? Don't think we created anything else. So now we'll do git commit -m cart now in database. So that's my commit, and we'll do a push. Okay. In the next video, maybe we'll have a go at, I don't know, we'll see what happens in the next video, but I think I want to try some Ajax soon.